Hal Yoh, Dane Zimmerman. Hal, let's talk a little bit about diversification. And with Dane Zimmerman, you continue to expand the company's reach and offerings while still maintaining its focus and its culture. How do you do that?
Really what we do is through people. And as you said earlier, culture, and as you can see with my pen, we do what we say really sums up our culture as to what we have. We are interested in diversification because for us it provides stability. We might not have the biggest highs, but we're not going to also have the low lows. And so for us to be in many markets and many different services really makes a difference for our company and continues to grow.
Well, how do you maintain that culture? The idea that you've got different organizations, different business segment units, you have different presidents for some of those segment units, but yet you have to maintain that consistency across so that if one person is working in this state or in this country, they still have that same feel. What do you do for that?
We spend a lot of time on training around that. Our values are very, very important to us. The values of safety, integrity, diversity, and success. And as a matter of fact, just by honing it in on our crowd all the time, what we do is we begin every meeting with a safety topic and a diversity topic. So you're putting your values and your culture up front every day with everybody.
Interesting. I want to talk a little bit about acquisitions because you've made many in the last, just not in the last year, but over the 100+ year history of your company. Michael Dell this morning mentioned that you don't create value by buying a company. You do so by successfully integrating that organization and using it to grow the business. How have you been able to do that in your organization?
Well, if you look at it, really what we're all about is strategic growth, and that's what we talk about it day in and day out. It's profitable, maintaining profitable, sustainable growth in our markets. And so based on that premise, we look at 3 different ways of growing. One is organic, one is joint venture, and the third one is acquisition. And we definitely look at acquisitions. And as Michael Dell said, really the biggest part of the acquisition is not just buying. It's like, having what was a famous statement about a dog after a car? What do they do when they get it? Right. For us, it's really integrating that and making sure that they have the right access into our company, into our people. We mix our people back and forth. We end up trying to rapidly as possible put our systems in place so that they become a Dane Zimmerman company very quickly, and at the same time not destroying the value of the company and the reason why you bought that company. You
mentioned systems. Do you have a specific onboarding system for that acquisition process that's at certain, let's say, 30, 60, 90 days?
Yes, we do. And as a matter of fact, I look at the company at a 30, 60, 90 day, 6 month, and then year after that. So we do have a review at my level, seeing how the integration's going, how it's working. And we do have a big, long checklist. And really, you begin integration as you're going through due diligence. You don't start integration when you buy it, but you start well in advance of it. And that way, when you have the company and you finally bought it, ensures you have a roadmap of what you want to do over the next year or 60, 90 days.
Interesting. Talking about acquisitions and joint ventures, as well as organic growth, what do you look for from the standpoint of those acquisitions in terms of the opportunities that fit nicely into the core areas that you have?
Really what we're looking for is what can they add to us? Is it going to be geographic reach? Is it going to be a new product line or a new service area? Or is it just going to be able to get us scale in certain markets that we end up needing? And how do you integrate it in there? We have a lot of plans and a lot of detailed plans around what exactly is the reason why we're trying to buy this company, and how are we going to be more successful with this company than without this company. But at the end of the day, as you said earlier, it's all about the culture and values. And if we have a culture value issue, then we're not going to buy it. And we really do look at bringing on talent that way too. It's a great way of being able to buy great talent.
Is that becomes really your deal breaker then, is that it's a culture that's just not going to fit?
If the culture doesn't fit with us, why do it? If you end up buying something that ends up changing your culture for the bad, that's not good. Life is too short without having to pound your head against things and trying to make the company what it isn't.
Yeah, true enough. You know, longevity seems to be a hallmark at your organization at Day & Zimmerman. What are some of the reasons for the company's ability to transition from generation to generation through this transformation?
It's interesting. We're a 110-year-old company. I'm the 7th CEO in 110 years. We do have that longevity of leadership. We are a privately held company. We're a third-generation company. We work very, very hard to make sure that we have that right as good stewards and good shareholders of the company. So really that's what we do. And at the end of the day, you know, CEOs need to reinvent themselves constantly, and really important on learning and how can you apply, you know, new techniques into your company so the company can continue to grow.
There really is a point of innovation when you get down to it, not just innovation within products and services, but innovation from the senior executive. Do you view your job then, from that perspective, as, let's say, the chief pot stirrer in terms of mixing things up to say, how can we think differently about this?
It starts at the top. We talked about our 3 levels of growth around strategic growth, organic, you know, joint ventures and acquisitions. We also have 3 focused areas, and one is talent, one is customer, and the third one's innovation. And we really do think that we can compete with great talent, but also with innovative products. So we spend a lot of time around innovation. We have innovation plans. They're baked in our strategic plans. We have a schedule of stuff that we want to do over the next 2-3 years. Yeah, everybody has a roadmap of really what we're trying to do from an innovative way. So we stress that day in and day out through me blogging, through, you know, just the various different conversations. So we take innovation very, very seriously at Day & Zimmerman and want to drive it, you know, through our company and create a competitive advantage for us. So.
Excellent. What sniff tests and mileposts along the way do you use to measure whether the innovation that you're talking about is something that is going to be rolled out, or it's something where the stop or go, no-go period is going to be a no-go?
Well, you know, when you begin with any project, you really need to say, all right, what do I want to get out of it at the end? And so you need to put down the goals that you're looking to expect if you go ahead and invest in this product or this service or whatever it is. And so that's kind of the sniff test. Are you really passing those gates and those hurdles, and are you getting the results that you expect out of it?
Interesting. One of the things we talked about earlier was that you're a defense contractor, which means that you have an area of your business where there are some pretty either heavy regulations or it's very seriously controlled. You know, what challenges does that pose for a company such as yours, and how do you overcome them?
Well, if you look at it, it actually could be a competitive advantage for us because we've been doing business with the government since 1911. And we understand how to navigate that. We understand how to grow that. And as a matter of fact, one of the innovative ways that we're looking at is we're teaming with companies and creating joint ventures where this company's come up with this great product. And we come into a joint venture and we know our client, the Army and DOD, very well. So what we can do is take that product and help them market it and manufacture that into the government. And we're looking at that at several different emerging technologies, as we call it.
It sounds like, you know, that kind of partnership takes a lot of nurturing. How involved do you personally become in terms of nurturing those relationships?
It depends. I know the relationships that are going on. Want to make sure, you know, the back room is working it. But at the end of the day, we delegate a lot into the company, and the folks that are responsible for it are responsible for it and accountable for them.
You mentioned blogging. Talk a little bit about how social media has impacted Day & Zimmerman in terms of how you utilize it to move the company forward.
We utilize it in a lot of different areas. Our staffing business, we're involved in temporary and permanent staffing, uses blogging all the time, uses LinkedIn, Twitter, all those areas to be able to recruit people. So very heavily involved in that. What we try to do from my perspective internally is have a blog out probably 20 times a year from me out to all the employees. And there again, it's reinforcing the culture and values. It's reinforcing the fact that the strategic growth model, and we reinforce, you know, all the different focus areas and all that day in and day out.
Interesting. Talk a little bit about service. You know, you're in a very service-related industry. Everything you do, you've got clients, you've got vendors, and internally with employees. Are there ways that you deliver beyond world-class customer service, the unexpected, things that people do not see coming, that enhance your ability for them to think about you guys in a completely different light?
We try to do that day in and day out, and we're a firm believer in measuring that. We look at our customer satisfaction indexes. We go ahead and have a whole customer officer, chief customer officer involved, going in and doing interviews for our client to make sure that satisfaction's there. And really what we try to do is look at how we can link the innovation into our customer area. And if we can do that, then we're going to have a more satisfied customer. And there again, you look and try to understand where the customer's going and how you can help them get there. I mean, the issue for us is we need to make sure that we're accelerating our customers' success. They got to be better with us than with our competitor. And we use that day in and day out to make sure that we're really driving our customers' success.
And do you empower people at every level of the organization to be able to deliver that service?
We try to, day in and day out, yes. I mean, at the end of the day, it's that person who's on that interface between us and the customer needs to understand what the customer needs are and what Day & Zimmerman's needs are and how to go ahead and achieve those goals. So you got to empower down at the end.
Finally, I want to just talk a little bit something personal for you, in that I see that you're very, very involved in philanthropy, that to you giving back to the community is really a tenet of what makes you you. Talk a little bit about how you do that and whether you actually try to align that with what your company does. Well,
it's interesting. Our fourth value, success, we talk about it, success of the company and the success of our clients, and importantly, our success of our people. But we also talk about the success of our communities, and I think it's very important for us to give back into those communities. That's where we end up getting our employees from. That's where we end up getting a lot of our business from. It's important for us to make sure that we're living in vibrant communities and helping the best we can. So I do a lot of that, but we have it up and down the whole organization.
And Michael Dell this morning talked a little bit about running corporate philanthropy like a business. Is that also how you folks approach it, or do you look at it differently?
We look at it that way and a bunch of other ways. It's easy to give money. Mm-hmm. It's easier to give money. What we want to do is be able to give our time. And an example of that is a bunch of arts programs. We'll have our IT people go in and help them set up their IT infrastructure to make them better suited and better communicated out in there. There's plenty of different things that we do day in and day out. And we end up having an award that we give out every year in honor of my mother and my father, Community Service Award. And what we do is people apply for that. We honor the person, then we give them some money that they can give out to their favorite charity. So it's one of the neater awards that we get to give out, and really is enjoyable to read all the various different stuff we're doing throughout the world to try to make a difference.
That's fantastic. Hal, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.